There is one policy quietly eating away a huge amount of your wallet, and you don't even know it. Today we are going to be talking about tariffs, how they impact you, how they impact me, and how they impact everybody in the whole world. Welcome to the Wiser Wallet, economics everywhere. So, what are tariffs? Tariffs are basically taxes when one country imports something from another country. So, example is you imported shoes from Vietnam to the US. There is an extra amount that you need to pay, say about 20%. The country exporting the products isn't the one that usually pays them, it's the company. And those those extra prices made by the company is passed on to you, the consumer. So, when do tariffs actually help? So, there are four main reasons why tariff actually help a country. Number one, protecting a brand new industry. When a small country, which has not so good of an economy, gets a lot of foreign competition from other MNCs, it leads to the local competition being hindered. So a tariff usually pushes back those foreign MNCs and helps the country's economy stabilize first. Second, bargaining power. Tariffs incentivize other companies and foreign MNCs to incentivize their trade practices to be more ethical. That means not hiding subsidies, improving trade practices, making sure that there's no illegal stuff going on. 3. Safety and security for countries. Countries don't usually want to depend on their rivals for products like computer chips, basic needs and necessities, etc. So tariffs usually allow their own country to be somewhat self-sufficient. Fourth is money for the government. Tariffs help the government to make money off of that extra import tax. So smaller economies usually benefit by using tariffs. Used carefully, tariffs can actually be beneficial to the country, as we discussed right now. But used for too long and for a price too high, tariffs can actually hurt the country. So here are some ways that tariffs actually damage the economy. So the number one thing that tariffs do is make prices higher for the consumer. As I said before, companies don't pay that extra 20% tax from their own pocket. They pass it on to you. So something that costs $100 might cost $120. Second thing is it reduces competition. Since tariffs, help the local companies grow, it also causes companies to get complacent, meaning less competition is equal to less quality products for the consumers. Third, countries, when kept tariffs on, don't usually stay quiet. If country A puts tariffs on country B definitely puts tariffs back on country A. It causes a lot of problems. It might not only be in the form of tariffs, it might be something political as well. The last one here is messy supply chains. For example, a car can move across 6 borders before it reaches its target market. 6 borders. Imagine tariffs at each border. That increases the car's price exponentially. And that leads to a messier supply chain. Tariffs can also reduce trade among countries, and there's not usually much benefit to that. So what happens to the country that actually sets the trade tariff? So let's call this country a host country. So in a host country, there are usually two sides of the coin, and the country sees both. For the wins, the local businesses have more time to grow. The government also gains money from extra tariffs. So what are the losses here? As we already talked about, you, the consumer, have to pay a much higher amount, say maybe 20% or more. Plus, the companies which actually import products for their own have a much higher cost price. Say an automobile industry in the US imports steel from another country. Since the steel is getting taxed, the company has much higher of a cost price. Most studies conclude with the same thing. A country sees wins and losses. The losses are small, but then they are noticeable as well. So usually what happens is the cost outweighs the benefit. Okay. Now on the flip side, what actually happens to the country which gets taxed? Well, that company seems more expensive to foreign buyers. So foreign buyers do one of two things. They switch to another company which sells it cheaper, or they just stick with the local products. For the company, that can mean less trade, they have to lay some people off in factories, and they have to go to another country where tariffs are not present and they can sell their products cheaper. They also sell their products more at home now. So what happens to the country itself? Well, their currency drops down to a lower price, which can mean cheaper goods, but that's a longer process. So countries do one of two things. They either tax back, or they try to sell their products elsewhere, maybe in another country or maybe at home. Okay, so now on to the fastest moving story. What's with American tariffs? Well, ever since President Trump came back to office in January 2025, he has made big moves on tariffs, bigger than any recent US president. So here's what he did. He kept increased tariffs on countries like Canada, Mexico, and China for fentanyl border issues. So this resulted in a huge amount of reciprocal tax, meaning the countries which Trump taxed on have started to tax back as well. Critics say one of two things. The supporters say that this has brought manufacturing back to America, and it has helped preserve American industries and reduce trade gap. But critics say it has made everything more expensive and has also resulted in exporting countries having harder taxes because of the tax payback, and it also has led to less investment in American businesses. There's also a real court fight going on. Judges and a trade court have asked whether this is really in Trump's power to put so much tariffs on every other country, whether it's actually been validated by the Constitution. The case has been moved to the Supreme Court for now. This is one of the fastest moving stories, so I would advise you all to check the actual numbers before the video goes live, because there might be some significant changes. So tariffs aren't actually good or bad. They are a tool. When used narrowly, tariffs can help protect their local industries, but when tariffs are used extensively for longer periods of time and at higher rates, they can cause the host country's economy to fall down, and also for other countries to start taxing them back. So the question here isn't tariffs yes or no, but how long is the tariff, who are you going to tax, and how big are the taxes themselves. If you enjoyed this story and want to see more, click on the like button, maybe even subscribe. I'll see you on the next one. The Wiser Wallet. Economics everywhere.